Sean Bland at the Art Center of Wilmington Island. We are so glad to offer a way to stay connected and continue creating art. Check out our new list of art at home kits for both kids and adults, available for curbside pickup. Please visit our Facebook page and website to see the latest options. We post them as quickly as we can make them. Each kit contains everything you need to complete a beautiful painting at home. The pre-sketched canvases, your inspiration picture, paint and brushes, a palette, and a link to watch a tutorial to follow along. All you will need to provide is the paper towels and a rinse cup for brushes. Now that you have your supplies, please follow the link to watch our step-by-step tutorial. Time to paint. So in looking at our palette, we have the three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. We have white, black, and brown for our neutral colors. And then we have a large brush that we're going to use to paint our background space. And then we have a smaller brush that we'll be using for our detail. But we will start with our big background space first, and the big brush in the water. And then after we wet it, just tap it dry on the paper towel so we won't have too much water. And you'll be ready to paint your background space with me. So we're going to take the white and yellow, and we're going to use that color to paint our background. So you can see how easy it is to spread the paint with this big brush. We can come in and we can show that that sun is brightly shining in this background for the llama. You can see the brush stroke that I'm using shows that we can have rays of sunlight coming down if we use our brush in a diagonal direction. I'm going from the right hand corner to the left hand bottom corner, and you can see using those diagonal brush strokes, it looks like the sun's just shining right down on the llama. Now when I get to the llama, I'm over painting just a little bit of the line to make sure that the rays go behind the llama. You can see how if I paint right up on the line that you have for your drawing, that I can still see it, so it's not covering up anything, and that will allow you to see the llama when you actually start painting him, so you don't have to worry about that. Now as I go down towards the bottom, I'm going to add a little bit of orange, but as I continue on over the llama's head in this direction, I'm going to continue just with the white and the yellow, and I will get a little bit darker as I head down toward the bottom of the canvas, away from the sun. So I just keep putting white on my brush. My strokes go all in the same direction so that the picture looks like the sun. The background just shows the sun streaming down right over the llama. And when I run out of white paint, I go get more. And I continue to do that. If I want to add yellow paint, I can do that. We're not trying to paint everything the same color in the background, so it's no reason for you to mix the color on your palette. You can just pick the color up and then add it to your canvas by making the same stroke, just continuing that same brush stroke in a diagonal way, up and down, all the way. Now, as I said, when I get down towards the bottom, I'm going to be ready to add in a little orange. So to make orange, I can take just a smidgen, just a little bit of red on my brush and mix it with the yellow, and now I have orange. And orange is going to be very nice to put down here on the bottom. So I'm just going to continue to add the orange and create more color down in the corners. And then I'm going to continue to go up underneath the llama. And remember, when I get close to the llama, I'm just going to paint with the brush right up against his body. And that way, when I get ready to start painting, you can see how easy it is for me to still see my line. I'm going to continue with adding orange, and remember, you make that by adding the yellow and the red together. I'm going to use my brush in the same direction. I'm still going diagonally with my brush strokes. And I'm adding more paint to my brush. I'm just starting with a little bit, even though it's a big brush. I don't want to load it too heavy to start with because it's a small canvas and it doesn't take long to cover. So you can see I'm just putting a little bit of paint on the end of my brush. Just a small amount, but I'm doing it often. That's the secret of this painting being successful, is that you pick up a little bit of paint on the tip of your brush. Don't carry much at one time because then you'll have a bunch of blobs. And you can just blend out that paint so nice and quickly if you just have a little bit on the edge of your brush. And then by the time you go all the way around the llama, your background is complete. Now, you know, as artists, you can always go in and add other fun things if you want to. If you wanted a ray of sunlight to be coming in, you could add more white, or you could add streaks of yellow, or you could add more orange at the bottom. So you just have fun and play and be very creative. But after you finish your background, it is time to go and work on the llama. So if you will take your brush and put it in your water container and just agitate the brush back and forth until you get all of the paint out of it. And then remember, always take your brush out of the water. You can pat it dry on your paper towel and then put it aside, and you can get another brush for the work on the image that's smaller. This is the center of interest of your picture. This is the llama. So to do that, what we want to do is think about his features. So the part of his jaw and eye and his nose, his mouth, his ears, all of those things that we're going to focus on with the features. So we'll start right up there with his ears. We can see that is like a dome shape or a U shape upside down. So with the white and the red, I'm going to make a little bit of pink. Now I'm going to fill that space in with the small brush. And if you decide you want yours to be red instead of pink, you could certainly do that. Or if you wanted it to be purple, you could take the red and blue and mix that together and have a purple color if you wanted that. But I chose pink, so I just mixed the red and white together. And then I'm going to go in and work on his nose and mouth area with his eye. So to make that area for his face, I'm going to start by taking white and a smidgen of black. That's just a tiny little bit of black that I'm going to add to my brush because I want to make a gray color. And you can see a very small amount of gray is all I'm going to need because I've got this very small area that's right in here. It looks like half of an oval or maybe sort of a football shape. But we're going to come in and you can see we've got a little space where his eye is, and his eye looks like it's closed. So now that I see that and know where it is, I'm actually just going to paint right over it. And then in a few minutes, I will draw it right back in, right on top of that gray surface because it's really easy to do that way. So I painted it gray. And then it's real easy for me to take the black brush now, or take the brush and dip it in black paint. And then now I can put his eye in. And the eye basically is going to be a line that is dipped down just a little bit. And you can see that it's curved just a little bit, not quite as much as the U would be, but just put a slash of a mark that comes across to make his eye as if it were closed. And if you want to decorate it up with a little few eyelashes, you can do that. But if not, you certainly don't have to. And then we're going to go out and look at the place where his nose is. Now his nose is going to be a little bit darker, so we're going to take, into that same gray color, we're just going to add more black. And we're going to come in and we're going to shape that in with the edge of the brush, just going right around the corner. We can start by putting a mark at the top of his nose and coming around like the shape of a C, like the letter C, coming around. And then to form the back side of it, we can do exactly the same thing. We start at the top of his nose and come around the shape that looks like a backwards C. And then we have his nose made just like that. So after we get that black color in, if we wash your brush, then we can make his nose look a little bit shiny by just taking the white paint and coming right across the top and making a little, like an apostrophe on the top of it, a little tiny mark that looks like a highlight right across the top of his nose. Then you can wash your brush out and you are ready to move on to the part that's going to be really fun for you to do, and that's going to be make the wool for your llama. Now the llama has wool actually all the way up from the very top, right up under his ear, all the way down to his tail. So we're going to take white and we're going to put a smidgen, a little tiny bit of light blue, the lightest, smallest amount of blue that you can put on your brush, right there. So white and a dot of blue. You can probably hardly see it, but the reason we want to blue it up just a little bit, see how you can tell it's a little bit on the blue side? Because when we get ready to put the white on top to make it look fluffy, it will really show up great if we have a little bit of that blue color up underneath it. So I'm going to take white, I'm going to mix just a smidgen of blue with it, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to paint the whole llama. I'm just going to come in with this brush and slide it around. This is what we call an underpainting. I'm just going in right over all the space of the llama that we haven't painted yet, except his saddle. And so we will paint his saddle next. But right now we're getting ready for the wool. And as you can see in doing that, I'm going right over the lines that we have that go around his neck, the straps, so I can cover everything, because I know in just a minute I'll be able to replace that with a paint line with my brush. But right now I'm just going right over the top of it. The light that I'm using with the white and the blue is so light that I can still see my stripes for the strokes on my harness and the
harness
blanket. So I can use my brush with the white and the blue, and I can cover even the lines that represent the straps and the blanket. I just go right around that because I can still see those lines right up underneath the white paint, because the light paint is pretty transparent if you just do a light coat. Remember, this is our underpainting, and so as we paint, we're just making the part that is going to make the white really, really pop out when we put the wool texture right on top of this. So right now, we're just filling in the space with white. It has a little bit of blue in it. We went right over the straps. We're going right around the blanket. And then we will be ready for the wool that we need to add on. And the wool is going to be white, and it will show up on this light blue color that we're using to paint his body with first. And you can see how fun it is just to move the paint around with the brush. You can just make little circles to get the paint to flow. Brush strokes are really fun to put in when you can play with it like that with so much freedom. Okay, so I have the front legs and the back legs painted on his left side, but on the right side we can see that those are behind on the other side, and so we need to make those even darker. So I'm going to take and I'm going to add blue to my white paint again, but this time the blue is going to be darker, and I'm going to go right in, and both of these legs are in the back. They're behind the legs that are in the front. So I'm going to make those a darker blue so that I know that these are in the front and those are behind it. And so now we have the whole llama's body painted in with a light blue color. Now that that's done, we can go in and start with the wool. We're going to wash our brush off and pat it dry just a little bit, and then we're just going to pick up the white paint. We're going to start all the way up here on the top of his head, and we're going to lay on the wool as if we were drawing circles. I'm taking my paintbrush, I'm laying it down everywhere, starting right around his ears. Watch how fun this is to take and make a circle with the paint. And we're picking up a whole glob of paint, and we're laying it down right where the llama's wool is, and we're making circles. And every one of these circles is a great, big, beautiful wool pattern that we give this llama to wear. So he is wearing a lot of wool today. But see how pretty it stands up against that blue underpainting. It really shows up, and we can tell that he is a fluffy llama. So I'm going around and around and around in a circle, 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 circle. And it is so much fun to build that wool. Watch how it goes around and around and around. And the more wool we put, the warmer he's going to be out in this sunny area. So we just keep going and go all the way around on the front leg, and then go all the way around on his back hip area, and on his tail, and all around his stomach. And now his midsection is all filled in. We've got one more back leg to go. And there we are. He is just as fluffy as he can be. Now remember, we've got to go in and put a little bit of wool on the back legs, but we're going to add just a little bit of blue to our brush so it's not white. And now you can see we've got a light blue color, and there we have back legs and front legs, and we can see the difference. Now we're going to wash out the brush, and we're going to use black paint to make his hooves. So we're going to come in and we're going to put one hoof right here, and then we're going to skip a little space and put another hoof, and another, and another. And you can see I just used black, and I made a space that filled in all 4 areas that have been drawn for you that show you the shape of a hoof. And for that to look round, all we need to do is put a little bit of that light blue and white color together. If we mix that and go right in the middle of each one of those hooves and put a tiny little shape that looks like a U. I'm going to make one for you right here so you can see it. See how fun it is to just make that little shape? It's almost like a U. But that's the light color, and we put it right in the middle of the hoof, and now the hoof looks like it's round. And that is really a great element in art to be able to use in your painting. Now we've got a blanket that we can paint all different colors. Now remember, with the colors that you have in your kit, you have yellow and red, but you can also make orange. You have blue and red, so you can also make purple. And you can add white to any of the colors to make them lighter. You can add the yellow and blue together to make a green. So you just have fun taking those colors and mixing to make new colors. And the most important thing is you're going to make a design, a pattern. You can use the one that is drawn out on your painting, or you can make your own. I'm going to take yellow and mix it with blue because we haven't done that yet. And we have a beautiful green. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to use that to make the very first color in my blanket. And you can paint zigzag lines. You can paint wavy lines or curvy lines. Any kind of pattern is going to be very colorful for this picture. So there's my green that I made. I'm going to take red next, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to make red, a red stripe here. And then I can take orange. Remember, we can take the yellow and the red and we can make a beautiful orange that we can use in our blanket. You can use the whole width of your brush to go through and make a big space, or you can turn your brush sideways and make little lines. You can make very small lines to come across if you want to draw thinner lines. So I want you to decorate that with as many colors as you want and make it bright and colorful. And then when you get all of that done, we'll be ready to make the straps that go across so that someone can show the llama where to go. That's the way that we can add one more little bit of detail to your picture. So you can see how now we have a beautiful blanket, all bright and colorful. And now we're ready for our straps. If you want to add a strap, you can. If you don't, you can certainly leave it off. I'm going to take the red, I think, and make just a few straps that can be wrapped around his body. I can come in and I can start right behind his neck, and I'm just using the edge of the brush, just the tip, to go through and put the strap so that it goes from the back of his neck around to the front of his neck. And that's basically with a shape that looks like an S. And so that would be really fun to do. Then I'm going to go again, and I'm going to start and pretend like that line continues back behind his body. And then I'm going to come out in the front and do the exact same pattern, the exact same line. So now I've created another strap, or the rest of that strap, exactly the same way. So you can decorate your llama with different colored straps if you want. You can make patterns on the straps. Those are fun to do. You can also add them onto your blanket. You can even add tassels. Tassels are really fun to do if you take your brush and start at one point, if you'll make a dot, and then come and add lines off from it that make a V shape, an upside down V shape. You can see that you could get little tiny fringe on the bottom. You can add detail with the fringe. If you wanted to give more fringe, you can certainly do that. But just start with one place and then go out and make a shape of a V. And then you can add more to it if you want to give it a little fringe, you know, to make the fringe look like it has, like it's bigger. You can add that if you want to. So, I encourage you to be very creative with your patterns on your blanket, and then you can decorate it with any color you want, with any pattern you want, and you can have fun being creative today as you paint. Now that you have finished your project, we want to see your masterpiece. Please send us a picture either to our email at artcenterofwillingtonisland@gmail.com or post it on our Facebook page. Keep visiting our Facebook page and website to see the latest art at home kits that you can purchase. Thanks so much for supporting your neighborhood art studio.